before them and answer critical questions, as well as give a status report on the new medical scheme. Other members of parliament have also expressed frustration over the lack of civic education around the project to the citizenry.
I mean, how do you tell me to continue treating patients under a new program and you've not sorted my previous debts? And I know this is the problem. Most hospitals, by the way, the ones that are rejecting patients, they are rejecting patients because they feel that honestly, somebody needed to come out very clearly and tell them, we are migrating. But are we migrating with your debts? Are we migrating with your problems that we have not sorted under former NHIF? So this is the problem, Mr. Speaker. And let us not come here and read numbers.
For us to stand here, Honorable Speaker, in this house and elsewhere, in funerals and everywhere, to say, oh, it is not working. We are lying to Kenyans, Honorable Speaker. We should be telling Kenyans the truth. We should be educating Kenyans. And I know we may have failed in our communication strategy. We may have failed in how well we communicate and educate our people. But Honorable Speaker, let us use this opportunity on this floor this evening to educate our people and let them know.
Mr. Speaker, what I want to say is that we need to acknowledge that there are very serious transition issues over this. And Mr. Speaker, if we lose a life, we can never regain it. I have a person who is very close to me who is undergoing cancer treatment right now and will not receive any treatment unless there's pre-authorization of payment. And Mr. Speaker, if me, I'm at the place where I am, maybe because they are able to do that, because we, for different factors we can. But the cries we are getting from our own constituencies, the cries we are getting from ordinary Kenyans is telling you that there's a huge problem. With
those who are not supporting, those who know, those who don't know. We don't know this thing properly. And we need to know it. If we don't know it properly, the local man will not know this thing. And therefore, because I know I have 3 minutes only, the first advisor is to go with Millie. Let's have a Kamkunji. But I had another one, that we need to invite the Minister of Health in this particular assembly so that he may explain to us what is happening outside there. Because unless the explanation comes out, it will be difficult.
And the controversy that has surrounded that project has now, taken its first casualty, which was a CEO, a gentleman called Elijah Wachira, who was last evening suspended as the acting CEO of the Social Health Authority. This kind of things happen when you launch things and they don't go out, they don't happen the way they were expected, you have casualties. Well, sorry about that. I'm made to understand I started miming, so I was just moving my lips, but you couldn't hear what I was saying. Anyway, I was saying that yesterday will go down as a very important day for Deputy President Kithure Kindiki after he chaired the first meeting of the Cabinet Committee on Governance, Social Sector and Public Administration at his current residence. Well, this was the first time since he took the oath of office. In attendance was Cabinet Secretaries John Badi of the National Treasury and Economic Planning, Julius Migos Ogamba, Education, Eric Mureithi Muga, Water, Irrigation and Sanitation, Beatrice Askul Mo, East African Community, ASOLs and Regional Development, Kipchumba Murgumen, Youth Affairs, Creative Economy and Sports, Rebecca Miano, Tourism and Wildlife, Soipan Tuya of Defense, Dr. Alfred Mutua of Labor, Dr. Deborah Barasa of Health, Dorcas Oduoro, the Attorney General, and Secretary to the Cabinet, Mase Wajau. Well, congratulations to him. Now, President William Ruto met the steering committee on the regeneration of the Nairobi River Basin at State House, Nairobi. The committee reported that the program is progressing well and has had 20,000 young people a month, 10,000 every fortnight since it began in October 2024. Loads of garbage have been cleared in 75 kilometers of the 94-kilometer stretch of the Nairobi, Ngong and Mathare rivers. Additionally, 69 kilometers of the basin have been unclogged and 56 kilometers leveled. To conserve the river's basin, 272,000 seedlings have been planted and 268 tree nurseries have been established.
When I established the Nairobi Rivers Commission, the intention was to see how we can clear the garbage and clean the Nairobi River in a very sustainable way. I know several attempts have been made before. Michuki tried and did a good job, but we dropped the ball after Michuki. So this time round, we want to do Nairobi River Commission in a different way. We want to clean the Nairobi River in a different way, in what other cities around the world have done. We need the buy-in of the leadership of Nairobi for us to implement that program appropriately, so that all of us can contribute ideas on how we can do this. How we can do this better in a way that resonates with the residents of this city. The most important aspect of this is actually the sewer. We need to contain the sewer that currently is going to the Nairobi River. And it's going to be a trunk of 54 kilometers of sewer that we are going to construct to make sure that all the sewer that is now going into the river, we put it in the sewer line and deliver it in the right place. And then, of course, we are going to do other infrastructure. We are going to widen the river to between 20 and 30 meters in different parts. We're going to put infrastructure around it, non-motorable transport infrastructure around it, and also do some linear markets, along that, so that we can make it better.
Well, I've been asking around because I wanted to find out whether whatever, is being said here is true. And see stories ajaba. And I've been told by a number of people, including Alice Mwangi, who happens to be our director on the other side of the studio. She's told me she's seen those young men who are cleaning Nairobi River, and they've actually been paid their first pay. So it's confirmation that that is actually happening. However, Alan, our cameraman, basically tells me, normally uses Outer Ring Road as he goes to his palatial home in Muthaiga, and he tells us that when he crosses Outer Ring, where Nairobi River basically crosses as it heads towards Karibangi, Korokocho, that area, the river still needs some working on, but at least something has started. University students will continue to stay home, that is of public universities, after efforts to resolve the ongoing university's lecturer strike faltered once again. A meeting convened by the National Assembly Committee on Education was called off after the Interpublic Universities Council's Consultative Forum, or IPUCCF, failed to provide documents proving that the government is ready to invest 4.3 billion to facilitate the reopening of universities and bring students back to class. The committee was forced to summon 3 cabinet secretaries to address the issue. According to the chairman, Julius Melly, Education CS Julius Magoha, Labour CS Alfred Mutua, and National Treasury CS John Mbadi will appear before the committee next week to explain the government efforts to end the strike. All right. As part of what was happening, their learning activities at Moi University in Uasin Gishu County have not resumed as the ongoing strike by workers continues, following a failure by the university management and workers' union to reach an agreement. Now, on Friday last week, a visiting Parliamentary Committee on Education had instructed both parties to hold a crisis meeting and resolve their standoff within 48 hours. However, despite the deadline passing, no significant progress has been made, with workers' union adamant that they will not resume work until their demands are fully addressed. The unions have accused the university management of lacking the necessary goodwill to resolve the dispute, citing unfulfilled agreements and poor working conditions as central to the strike.
Nataka kuthibitisha kwamba kufikia jana chuo kikuu cha Moi University kimeanza kupeana barua ya kufuta watu kazi. Kufikia saa hizi wamepeana barua kwa uongozi wa wafanyikazi. So viongozi wa wafanyikazi wote wamepewa barua ya kuwasimamisha kazi. Na nataka kusema kwamba wakati wabunge walikuwa hapa siku ya Ijumaa, wakaongea juu ya maneno ya Moi University, wakaamrisha kwamba mamlaka ya university ikae chini na wafanyikazi na iongee. Wakati huo tuliambia hiyo kamati ya bunge kwamba hiyo management ya Moi University tunajua haijajitokeza ili kuhakikisha kwamba inaongea na wafanyikazi. Kuanzia wakati huo, kabla hata ya hiyo tume kutoka, tulikuwa tumepata barua. Tulipata court order on Friday, tukapata warning letters kwa hiyo Friday, na sasa jana Jumatatu tumepata suspension letters kwa wale wanaongoza wafanyikazi. Kwa hivyo inakuwa vigumu sana kwa wale wenye wanasimamia wafanyikazi kuweza kuongea na chuo kikuu. Tunaamini kwamba kuna mtu hataki maneno ya Moi University isikizwe. Kwa hivyo anataka kuficha na anajaribu kuficha kwa kusukuma wafanyikazi mbali. Kufikia saa hizi tunajua wanatumia mbinu za intimidate workers. Wana intimidate workers to force them to go to work. How do workers go to work? They have not been paid salary for 2 months. How do workers go to work when their loans, they are in court, their property is being auctioned?
Now, don't forget that later on in the show, we'll have a very interesting conversation. It's about what your poop says about you, huh? You know, when you go to the small room to do number 2, don't just flash without looking. Check it out. Examine. You know? Get to know what your poop is telling you. We'll have a poop expert. Not really. We'll have a health expert here who's going to tell us exactly what you can learn from your number 2. So you need to stick around. If you feel like you need to go for number 2, wait until we're done with the show so that when you go in, you will come out a very educated man. But first, let's check out the Star newspaper, where Chief Executive Wachira has been suspended. Basically, that's the headline that screams, and then you got a picture of President William Ruto with the MPs from Nairobi County. Basically, they had held a meeting to talk about Nairobi River. And then in page 3, you got renowned Judge Mudhoga recalls runnings with Charles Jonjo. I remember that case. It was ways back when President Moi was still president. And I think what had happened, Jonjo had been accused of trying to overthrow the government. Then on page 4, we got inside Ruto plans to use Odinga for 2027 battle. Pretty interesting. Keeping the faith. Who is it keeping the faith? We have Firat believes that they have what it takes to stop Zimbabwe, Namibia in AFCON qualifiers. In the Standard, I'm telling you, we have very brilliant young people. If only they can use their brilliance in the right direction. We have at least 10 youth who registered more than 123,000 mobile phone lines, then took loans and went on a car and motorcycle buying spree without the intention of repaying the money. Their properties are to be forfeited to the government. They were arraigned in court yesterday. Interesting stuff. These guys are creative, but in the wrong direction. And then we have the Anglican, the head of the Anglican Church in the UK, who has quit after he was accused of child abuse. A guy called Justin Welby resigned as the Archbishop of Canterbury after facing scrutiny over his failure to report a prolific child abuser. The abuser is said to have targeted more than 130 minors for years. I mean, this guy was doing all this thing. He was part of the pastorage, and the guy never reported him, and so ameambiwa out neja. Then we have page 3, Rumba legend Papa Noel dies at the age of 83. Musicians and fans pay tribute. Then page 5, you got lawmaker standoff over county funding as stocks fail. Then why Manchester United task is a no laughing matter for Amorim. Then you have the picture of Amorim laughing in a no laughing matter. Then the Daily Nation says Gulf oil deal ties Kenyans to expensive fuel. We entered into a deal with the Gulf nation to supply fuel to us. But unfortunately, even as the price deep, I think there's a clause they had put in the contract where they were protecting their staff. So we end up now paying fuel at more expensive price than kawaida. So this is going to go for at least a month. And then we have the 2013 polls chief, Isaka San, who was landed a plum state job. Maybe years to come. Rigathi Gachagua is going to appear as one of the guys who will have probably benefited in some of these jobs. It looks like once you've been in government, you always one way or the other, find yourself getting a government job, if you know the drift. Then petitioners now want Gachagua dropped from Ruto ouster case. Then the back page, lecturer still on as salary talks collapse yet again. So get yourself a copy of the dailies. Get to know what's happening around you. Right now we go for a break. When we come back, we'll find out what your poop says about you and what you need to do to change the language of your poop. Ama namna gani?
You are watching EBN.